Hi, locomotive Davenport Diesel. Uh, Department Army Technical Manual TM 55 1200 79. Locomotive diesel, 56.5 inch gauge, 44 ton, 004. Lewis model, 400 H power, Davenport Belzer. Department of Army number November 1955. Relay panels to the type of the UR. The relays are simply rugged and have the clapper type armature with a rocking pivot. The armature is held by the position same compression spring provides the calibration contacts should be deflect 1/16 of an inch closer than having a 32th inch which open. A coil resistant relay pickup voltages are specified on figure 44. The dropout value is not important. The shunt coils of these relays are usually connected to the bridge circuit, therefore carrying a very little current during the normal operation for the circuit arrangement. Figure refer to figure 49, 40, refer to figure 44. Maintenance consists mainly of the visual inspection to see if the relay is clean of the parts of the free or to move in proper manner. Make sure all connections are tight and wires are not broken. 93. The type M resistor. The type M resistor are used in circuits where the large resistor capacity is required. The resistor is a built-in tubular or unit having steel center to support insulated sections of porcelain. A resistant ribbon is wound again edgewise in the former helix and sections porcelain. The units are mounted on insulated tie rods supported by the strap of steel frame. Each unit may be removed easily without disturbing any of the other units. The resistor light amount of the current flow through the respective circuits have an important part of overall performance of the equipment. The electrical characteristics of the equipment can be upset by adjustment of the resistor in the upper important circuit. All resistant values are properly adjusted to unit the first put in service. Adjustments will only be made by one or who thoroughly familiar performance of the complete equipment. A light and heavy inspection examine the complete resistor assembly for the broken porcelain and resistant ribbons. Check all connections that are tightly properly made and all resistant ribbons in the properly secured clamp at the end terminals. Clean the mounting insulator for the frame terminal bar. At the general overalls, in addition to the above inspection, tighten the mounting bolts and clean the installation terminal bar. Then paint the insulation varnish. When replacing a resistor tube, care should be taken to the terminal clamps of the resistor ribbon clean, smooth, and bright before making connections using a terminal clamp or replacing tubes. 94, a control resistor. 94, control resistor. The control resistor, which carries only low values of current, consists of a resistant wire wound on a tube. The tubes are various ohmic values are as specified in figure 44. The control resistor also have an important function overall the overall operation of the electrical apparatus. The characteristics of the equipment can be disturbed in changing of the values of the control resistor in many important circuits. The resistors are properly adjusted. The equipment is first placed in service should be not tampered with. Adjustments will be made only by one who is familiar with the performance of the complete equipment. A light and heavy inspection examine for the resistor panel carefully for the loose connections. Take the resistor tubes of the panel and check out for the broken open circuit. The tubes check the most careful must be exercised replacing the tubes and making proper connections. The replacing broken damaged tubes only with an identical style number. Okay, 95. Switches and fuses. Inspect all and switches and fuses if used regularly to cover. The switch jaws, fuses, and fuse clips making good contact. Leads firmly soldered. Terminals in both tight. Panels and bolt bases clean from oil and dust. Current fuses and the use of the spare fuses. Available auxiliary apparatus tested and one fuse blows frequently. Any spring currently correctly in place of an operating apparatus tested for the proper operation. 7. A contact clean smooth. And D. Cover the inspection of all items such as control miscellaneous switches, fuses, traction motor cutout switches, weight transfer, cylinder foot switches, buttons at engine stops, other circuits, headlight, hand switches, or traction blower switches, or train line jumper or receptacles. 96 voltage regulator panel. The regulator panel is a vibrating type that varies the auxiliary generator shut and field contacts to hold the constant voltage of the auxiliary circuits regardless of the auxiliary load or engine speed. The regulator has a powerful magnetic circuit that is excited by a single coil of the stationary frame. The moving iron on is supported by the flat stainless steel hinge spring, which is spot welded into the armature iron. The two arms and the spring foot own over a dowel pin is located at the edge of the top of the plate of the stationary frame. The spot welding of a hinge spring is in the location of the dowels is done accurately in jigs at the factory in order to maintain the air gap at the bottom of the armature, which within the closing limits. The hinge spring should become damaged. If this hinge spring should become damaged, the armature iron and hinge spring assembly must be replaced as a unit and cannot successfully be repaired as it cannot successfully be repaired. The armature rocks has two stainless steel ball pivots which are possessed in the edge of the top of the plate. References of Figure 44 will indicate the connections of the resistor used in the conjunction of the regulator. When the engine is not running, the regulator spring holds the moving contact against the right-hand stationary contact that causes the resistor in series of the auxiliary generator field to parallel to the R and H stationary contact. If the engine started and brought up to the idle speeding voltage, the auxiliary generator increases. The value of the regulator is adjusted when that occurs. The magnetic pull of the regulator coil overcomes the spring tension and the moving contact swing ways as the RH contacts. The current flows through the resistor lowers the auxiliary generator field current. This lowers the generator field voltage slightly. The magnetic voltage regulator coils weaken spring again and closing contact. Vibrating is rapid enough so that no flickering will occur in the lights. B. Maintenance. The sparking is fundamentally normal in the time of the produced slight spitting of the graphite contact surfaces. Adjust contacts have been worn so that the gap is between greater than 1/8 of an inch, moving in the stationary contact outward of the use of one of the head of the extra holding screws, marking the contacts before the removing stationary contact so that it can be put within a rotating and with reference to the moving contact. After the spaces contact, when the new graphite contacts are installed, carefully sand to ensure the good contact surfaces over the entire face. Use a strip of number 00 sandpaper between the two surfaces, pressing the contact lightly together. Caution: do not press the contacts together too tightly as they proceed to deflect the supporting springs, and sanding operation will result in misalignment in a face of normal operation that occurs with very less light contact pressure. 3. Unnecessary excessive contact sanding will only shorten the use of the life of the contact required. The frequent renewal of the contact should be sanded until the contacts are to be spaced out by washers. Replacing the moving contact before the worn such surface first reaches the edge of the groove of the center of the contact. Replace the stationary contact when the worn surfaces are within 1/32 of an inch of the brass cylinder in contact. When tightening or replacing the moving of the contact, tightening any of the screws of the moving armature assembly holds the armature firmly with one hand while using the screwdriver on the socket end of the wrench with the other. This prevents twisting of stainless steel hinge springs in Figure 30. Should be necessary to replace a regulator coil, remove the regulator panel from the main panel, and do the work on the workbench where the renewals of the parts can be facilitated under the adequate and suitable conditions. To remove the coil, remove the top screws holding the bottom of the plate and the frame of to the core, and single the screw holding the plate to the panel. After the removing of the coil leads, it may be slipped off the core when the installation of a new coil. See the mating surfaces of the bottom and its late and core clean, free flowing of burrs and no shredded insulation becomes pinched between them. Never touch a file of these surfaces or accuracy armature air grip will be lost. The replacing of the bottom of the plate with the 3 screws up of the finger tightening before the final tightening or any of them with a screwdriver. Here you see the method of holding a regulator armature with the tightening screws. So that's the regulator for the armature, and we're tightening screws. 7. The reverse current relay is located on the right side of the panel and is used to connect the auxiliary generator across the battery. When the generated voltage reaches a predetermined volt value, remove the auxiliary generator from the battery circuit when the engine speed falls to the value so that the low of the regulator can no longer maintain the proper voltage is when the engine is shut down. The relay carries the auxiliary generator current within the contacts of the contact sufficient large to carry a full current within overheating. The coil of the reverses current relay is wounded as a wound in two sections: a shunt section and a series current section. The shunt coils the reverse current relay is connected to a series of the ballast resistors across the general generator voltage. When the voltage rises to the pull-in setting, the relay closes and connects the auxiliary generator to the battery and load. The load current through the relay series coil is holding this relay closed. When the engine stops, the auxiliary generator tries to motor from the battery. This reverse current through the series of coils will oppose the shunt coil. Cause relay to open with the turn disconnects auxiliary generator from the battery load. C. A relay armature contact. The relay has the clamper type armature with the rocking pivot within the practically friction free. The armature is held in the position the same compression spring, which provides the parts of the calibration brass residual button on the end of the iron core maintains a proper magnetic gap. When the armature is closed, the moving of the contact of the bridge connects the two stationary contacts with the armature closed. The stationary contacts are threaded studs to permit adjustment. All contacts are silver inspection. In inspection of the regulator panel, the consistent, largely visible inspect to make sure that there are parts of the properly working order. Changes the adjustment with good and cause if should not be made. The reverse current relay with normally no attention for the long periods of time. The relay contacts are made of the silver and should not require cleaning of the dressing. If the relay contacts are changed or replaced at any time, they should be carefully set. Carefully set. Putting the relay in service. Before putting the service into the test as follows: be sure the battery and the generator are both connected to the same polarity. Insulate the contacts of a contact. A contactor. Start the engine, close the auxiliary generator cutout breaker, measure the voltage from the end to AG, and then this should be about 37 volts. Measure the voltage between the contactors of the A contactor. This should be 5 to 6 volts, or if 60 to 70 volts is indicated, either the generator or the battery is connected with proper wrong polarity. If the preceding test shows that all the clear and remove the installation of the A contactor, stop the start of the engine several times, observing the operating of the reverse current relay to the speed center at the operating properly. Adjusting the setting of the panel wiring and lettering, adjusting figure 44. Check the resistant coils and resistor of the regulator coil resistance for 4.5 ohms at 25 degrees Celsius. The shunt selection of the reverse current relay contact coil has 18.8 ohms resistance. The resistant tube valve values are shown in the diagram. Within 70 volts of the AG end and make the AG positive. Adjusting the regulator spring so the contact flows coils must be warm. The change in the voltage to move from contact from right and stationary contact to left stationary contact must exceed 1.5 volt, and when making the adjustment, make sure the stationary contacts adjust to the lower edge of the armature overlaps the frame 1/8 of an inch for the contact gap at the 1/16 of an inch. All points of contact surfaces may contact simultaneously. Regulator auxiliary panels should have parallel and main regulator panel. Should it not be dropped in 3/6 inches due to its own weight and the weight in the panel position of the locomotive, set the reverse current relay armature gap at 1/16 of an inch of the center of the coil core. Adjust the station contacts to just touch the movable contact and lock them. Readjust the armature gap at the 5/32 of an inch. Look at the contact gap should be then 3/64 of an inch. An armature spring is so the relay contact closes it within 35 volts of the across A and G to make AG positive. The coil should be warm. See the contact set. Bring tight as possible. Still permanent and sealed. Pick up voltage without fail. Relay must not float in or out within 32 volts of the AG to end. Pass the current through the volt of the B3 to AG, making B3 positive. The relay should drop out 4 to 12 amperes without floating. Speed indication equipment installation. A mounter, as you see in Figure 31, you see the C4M generator assembly method. The 97 installation mounting generator. Installing driving pin on the end of the axle sheet shown in Figure 31 bolt. The special journal box covered the position to turn the generator rotor from the driving arms of the engines with the pin axle. Carefully position the generator as in the journal box, covering the check of the clearance between the pin and the generator with the drain hole in the journal box, covering the use of standard 3/8 to and 16 bolt with the generator shaft, the sound centric with the wheel axle. Gaskets are provided to make an oil light height connection. May place in a place a piece of 3 and a quarter or 3/4 inch hose clamped at both ends of the generator cable with the clamp protection. Transformer box mounted the transformer box at the convenient location protected with a dry dirt moisture. Particularly the attention must be paid for the temperature of this tile site. It is recommended the site of the temperature range is 75 degrees plus or minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature should never rise above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperatures above 120 degrees Fahrenheit will not damage will introduce temporary errors in will not damage the box, but will introduce temporary errors in proportion to the rise, showing the mounting of the dimension transformer resistor box on the installation. Measure the wheel diameter set for the wheel adjustment transmitter resistor box. Refer to paragraph 98. The temperature, weather indicator mounted should never be exceed 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Indicators should more accurately temperature from 75 degrees plus or minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit shown in the mounting dimensions. 2. The handle indicator with the care of the avoid the damaging jewel bearings. Do not hammer on the panel of this on which the indicator is mounted. You see 32 is a transformer resistor box dimensions. Figure 33 is a speed indicator mounting dimensions. Check the point of the zero mark if its own zero set adjustment. Refer to paragraph 98. Connections. Make the connections according to the figure 34. No number 14 AWG or larger standard copper wire. Make a good ground connection between the locomotive frame and the truck on the generator mounted. The resistance of the ground circuit may be checked temporarily. Disconnecting the auxiliary lead from the transformer box of the point X connection. To point X on the connection diagram, inserting the ohm meter, the resistance as measured on the point should be at least 10 ohms. 98. Maintenance adjustment. Measure the wheel diameter, regular intervals, adjustment of the transformer resistor box, setting it necessary to make the adjustment, loosening the lock nut, taking care not to disturb the set screws of the hub of the dial. Set the dial to correspond to the diameter while driving the generator. While wheel driving the generator. Tighten the lock nut. Check the settings and see that it has not been disturbed with the locking. Zero set. The indicators equipped with an external zero adjusting screw. The front of the case at the point of the map be set on zero for the indicator to be de-energized by turning the zero adjuster within the screwdriver at the same time gently tapping the front of the cover. Calibration. Each indicator of the calibrated particular transformer resistor with the top of the most of the always used together. However, the generator at the same time the interchange with no effect of the accuracy of the system. Checking the speed indicator calibration, occasionally observing the time over the measure mild. Check over the operation of the equipment which was removed from the locomotive urban calibration curve that shows a relation between the generator RMP, the instruments, the indication pounds per hour, the wheel diameters of 30 inches to 40 inches. The generator is important for the watertight joint. The generator pointed at the cable centers enters the generator. Do not move the leads of the generator unless necessary to replace the generator leads and necessary to remove the generator. Disconnect the lead of the connection box on the replacing the cover letter of the terminal box. Comment on the replacing of the cover of plate of the terminal box. Cement the cover jacket with the gasket cement. This takes every precaution that no water is allowed to enter the generator. Lubrication. The generator is permanently lubricated. Therefore, it will be necessary to lubricate only the overhaul temperature greases. Here you see a wire diagram of a C4M generator. The white and black is into the negative and the indicated positive generator from the indicated to the resistor box. Here's an electrical speed journal boxing type diagram. It has 3 rays going into 40-inch wheels, 36 inches wheels, 33 inches wheels, and 30 inch wheels as a generator rotor for 1200. They each will drop off about 200 at the top of 120 Trans Am speeds and 0 to 10 to 100 and RAP with generated RPMs. Troubleshooting 99 trouble. No readings permanent intermittent point of off zero instruments. No reading permanent intermittent. Loosely connections in poorly soldered joints or in instruments. Check external connections. Resolder if necessary. Poorly soldered joints inside the instrument. Remove for repair. Open resistor for a rectifier. Replace transformer resistor box. Point off the pointer of the off the zero instrument to the energizer. Slightly shift the shift in the spring. Reset the 0 to 0 set screws in the front of the case. Damaged springs, examine the springs if they are deformed and replace instruments. Section 12, kerosene burner heaters.